First we were nerding out,
Yeah.
dealing with some patients, and now we can begin the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're Kevin and I are really big nerds, by the way. Like, we like to play video games, and we like to
Oh yeah.
whenever we can find the time. And
I often do a night rain run with my morning coffee.
I've noticed that, and I find it so funny. Sometimes I'll be like literally in this room on my laptop doing some work, and I just see the little notification come up, and I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to
play.
that.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, time for my morning coffee, and then get to work. I'm like, warm up with a night rain run, and then just do work.
I need to turn off the Steam notifications on here because it happens all. I got a lot of friends that work from home, so they're constantly like just bing, bing, bing. I'm just like, they just get to play games all day sometimes. Like, that sounds so fun.
That's the best thing.
Yeah. So it's been a couple weeks since Kevin's been on the other side of the table here. And last week, Kevin came into this very room while I was sitting here, and he was like, I have an idea for the podcast topic for the next one. We need to talk about how it's good to work through the suck. And so I want to know what you meant by that. What is working through the suck?
Yeah. So what I meant when I was talking about working through the suck, it was like working through being bad at movements and not trying to be perfect with it and like not caring. Like too many people are like, oh, I got to be perfect with this movement right off the bat. But no, you're going to suck when you try something, and you got to embrace the suck and just work through the suck and just continue to suck.
Yeah. But like, I actually think it's like it's a good way to approach a lot of different things, because I was almost interpreting it as, okay, this is a really just difficult thing to do right now. You could say, like, you could look at it from form. You could look at it from, this is like, maybe I'm dealing with shoulder pain and I'm working through this and it's hurting my shoulder and this sucks. Or it's just like, this is just a hard thing to do. It sucks. Just work. I think you can apply it like in any of those directions. But
you could definitely interpret it a lot of different ways.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it makes sense with what you're saying, just as a general mantra, and like how we've even talked and shot like that previous reel about how like certain exercises look scarier, or people don't do them just because they would, in I guess popular culture, would think that, oh, that's not good form, or maybe that's dangerous. But yeah, why don't you I fully agree with you, so that we're just going to be two guys in an echo chamber here. But like, let's talk about why working through the suck is like a good thing. Why having maybe what some people would think of as bad form and starting off from that point is not the end of the world.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to drop a little bit of a bomb right off the bat and go ahead and say that I'm going to be a little bit inflammatory on purpose and just be like, there's no such thing as bad form. Some people are probably going to be like, this guy's an idiot, and tune out of the podcast already.
I feel inflamed.
Yeah, very inflamed. But like, your body can adapt to pretty much any movement. It just depends how much you're doing with it, how heavy, how fast, how much range. Yeah. And like changing all the variables to make it comfortable. Like, a very common example is Jefferson curls. People think in yoga, doing a Jefferson curl body weight, awesome, that's great flexibility. But what's the difference between that and then doing Jefferson curl with 5 pound, and then 10 pound, and then
10 pounds?
Yeah. Right? But it's like, when does it become bad? Like, I can do Jefferson curls with hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
Is it bad? No. For me?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, I have no problem with it. I do Zercher deadlifts with hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
So an even more extreme rounding of the back. But I didn't start off with that. Like, if I were to just walk into the gym on day one when I had not done a Jefferson curl before, load 315 on the bar and try to Jefferson curl it, yeah, my back probably would have blown out. Like, I probably would have been in pain because I hadn't built up the capacity for it.
Yeah.
I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but then kind of bringing it into form is like, you see all the time when people are starting to learn how to deadlift, they have that cat back and their back's rounding, and everyone's fear mongering and being like, no, you have to keep your back completely straight, lower the weight. Oh, you got to now just only do RDLs until you can do a certain thing. And
Yeah.
there's all these corrective drills and corrective exercises when it just comes down to just time and like learning the movement. Like you'll get stronger in other ways and your form will change over time, and then you'll have probably a flatter back, but that round back isn't bad, and you can build up the capacity for it, and you probably should build up the capacity for it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm starting to go off on a bunch of
it's
tangents, so I'll
like
let you rein me in.
It's the get good.
Yeah.
Right? Like you made a video on this a little while back where you're like comparing this to playing like a really difficult video game where you just like walk into a boss battle and it just absolutely annihilates you and you have no idea what to expect. And then you just go right back in again and repeat and rinse, repeat and rinse, repeat. And then eventually you start like catching on to little things and you keep slowly learning a little bit more and then getting better and better. And eventually you get the big dub. And I feel like it's the same kind of thing as long as you're not completely overdoing it, but at least just going in, doing what you can. Maybe it's not perfect. And like every single time that you go back in for that next rep, and by rep, I mean just another session, another period of time where you can work on it, you get a little bit better, you get a little bit stronger, you get a little bit more range of motion. So it's like, it's not necessarily specifically how you're getting there, it's that you're slowly getting there at like a pace that works for you, I find.
Yeah.
And just with not a direct A to B path, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to go a little bit more in like the motor learning aspect of it and talking about that, like how the brain is going to learn a movement too, it's trying out a bunch of different ways to learn how to do the movement as you're going on with it, and then going, okay, this one works, this one doesn't. That's why sometimes you go in and you're like, wow, this is unreal. Everything's clicking. I'm in flow state. Like I can do this movement, no problem. Let's just use power cleans as an example. Like you're learning, you're like, oh, this is clicking today. And then the next time you go in for a workout, you're just throwing the bar around, you're like smashing your hips, bouncing back into like your chest or your neck a little bit. You're like, what is going on? Your brain's just kind of trying to figure out and be like, okay, does this pathway work a little bit better? No. Then it's going to kind of like prune that pathway a little bit, and that motor learning actually takes time too, and that's like part of the suck.
Long time.
Yeah. And like relaying it back to that boss battle and those video games, it's the same thing. Sometimes you go in and you just try the boss again and again, or like whatever activity you're doing, you try it again and again. And sometimes some things go well, but more often than not, you keep screwing up, and then you take a little break from it for a day. That allows your brain to process everything. You kind of come back and it goes, okay, now we know what is good and what is not good. So then everything just starts clicking.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of that embracing the suck, is letting your brain learn everything, letting you learn everything, right? Like letting yourself get stronger over time and more coordinated with the movement, and not worrying about being perfect right off the bat. Because if you try to be perfect right off the bat, you're just going to overcue yourself like crazy.
Yeah.
You're going to have too many things to focus on, and then you're going to be holding back on weight as well, probably, and just holding back your progress.
Yeah. And also, I think it's just an important point to make that, like, where you're having a day that felt really good with that exercise, and then, like you said, maybe your brain's and your nervous system's trying to figure something else out. Is this going to be better? And it feels way worse. That's not regression. That's not a step back. That's just a day where things didn't happen to be clicking. You're still moving forward because you got in there and you did stuff.
Yeah.
To some degree, right? And like
some bit of learning happened.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you can be like, okay, that didn't work for me, so we can throw that out the window. It's a little bit less to focus on. And like I think where a lot of people go wrong across the board in health and fitness, I was literally having this conversation last night for our nutrition challenge that we're doing. We had a group check-in, and where I think a lot of people go wrong, whether it's nutrition or lifting weights and getting stronger, or whether it's getting better from like an injury, it's okay, I've been doing this for 2 or 3 weeks and I can't deadlift 400 pounds yet, and my back, or like, that's an exaggeration, but it's like my back's still sore after 3 weeks of working on this. Or, I've been working really hard for the past 3 weeks and I haven't lost any weight. Or, I've been grinding away for the past 4 months and my 1RM's the same. It takes way longer, and I think a lot of people fail because it's like they have this expectation that it just needs to happen like this. And after 3 or 4 weeks, they just say, okay, whatever, I give up. I'm going back to the whatever else I was doing. I'm going to stop working on this. And then it's just this repetitive cycle of, okay, now I'm hurt again, or now I'm weak again, or now I'm not losing weight like I wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, without sounding too harsh, I think people give up too quickly. Part of that being because there's probably just not a lot of or enough information or encouragement, or the narrative is out there that all of this stuff takes a lot of time and consistency.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of right on, where there's that not enough of that narrative where it's like, hey, this is going to take some time. There's not enough explaining to the people about that. And there's also on that showing that the sorry to just distracted myself there a little bit.
Good.
Like the slowing of regression or the stopping of regression is still progress.
Yes.
So you may have been regressing before, and then you started doing something, and over that 3 weeks, maybe you didn't improve, but you're not worse, because that's where you were headed before. And that is progress as well.
Yeah.
That a lot of the time can help with a lot more buy-in and be like, hey, you know what? You were feeling terrible. You weren't even able to, like, you were on the path to like not even being able to deadlift a plate, and now you're back to deadlifting a plate comfortably.
Yeah.
Sure, you're not back to where you were before, but you stopped that backwards movement.
Yeah.
And that can be a lot of progress. That can be really powerful and actually kind of like show, at least at the beginning, of, hey, you know what? You're not regressing anymore. You slowed that down. You're at that plateau of stopping it. And then the way up should be coming next, as long as you stay consistent. Like you said, things take a lot of time. With just kind of like relaying it to chiropractic, physiotherapy, and everything, a lot of the treatments are based around, at least previously, not the way that I practice, but like those passive therapies where something's done to you, they're based around that immediate relief and immediate effect. It's transient, it's short-lived, so if something happens, then you kind of revert back to your baseline fairly quickly, but there's that tangible effect where it's like something happened really quick. People get conditioned to that. Even in just like medical field, right? You're thinking medications, painkillers, everything. There's like an immediate tangible effect, whereas true progress takes a lot of time. Yeah. So there's just a lot of conditioning around immediate effects. Very cut and dry, simple. Marketing is based around a lot of that too. But yeah, you have to get used to embracing the suck, buying in, being consistent for a long time, and then after a long time, not weeks, probably months, you'll see that progress and that improvement that you're looking for.
Yeah, well, and sometimes people hear that and they're just like, that's ridiculous. 3 months for a sore back.
You're gonna live those 3 months anyway.
Exactly, right? So that's a great point. I like that line. But when we're talking maybe 3 months or even longer for some of these things, that's not necessarily someone going from my back was hurt to now my back isn't hurt anymore. And sometimes it can take that long for your back to not feel hurt anymore after certain injuries. But we're talking like that long grind is part of making you better than you were before you were hurt, giving you more physical function, getting you stronger, making you more resilient so that while there's always a risk to hurt yourself again, it's maybe a little bit less than it was before. Maybe you've built up some extra confidence in your body and in yourself that you can now start doing a lot more things that you wanted to do that you were a little bit nervous for, right? So like you can absolutely hurt your back and go in and see a healthcare provider, whether it's a physician for some painkillers or whether it's a physio for acupuncture or a chiro for whatever you want the chiro to do to you, or somebody to do exercise. That's fine. And you can feel a little bit better afterwards and maybe the thing goes away. But then that's where you often hear people, it's like, yeah, you know what, every 3 months my back goes on me, or like, every at least once or twice a year my shoulder feels like crap when I'm benching. And so like if you're comfortable with living through that continuous cycle and doing what you're doing, that's fine. But if you're complaining about that and you don't like that and you want it to go away, then don't keep doing the same thing as you were before. You need to put in that consistent, steady effort over a long period of time to get better.
What's that quote about like doing the same thing and expecting different results is, I can't remember the rest of it.
That's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
I'm not calling anybody insane. I'm not. But like,
but like, kinda. No, it's right along that though. And I don't think that people necessarily see it because they do something a little bit different, gets them out of their pain point, their complaint. They get some progress, right? And then they're back to just where they were, like that baseline. But like you said, the goal isn't to get back to that baseline because that baseline may have already kind of been somewhat flawed state, right? Like
it wasn't good enough.
Right? It wasn't good enough. That's kind of what happened. Now maybe you get back to it either more educated, more resilient in general. Maybe there's like other things where, like you said, you can do a lot more activities. Maybe that baseline, there was a lot of things that you weren't doing and you were just doing this one activity because, oh, you know what? Yeah, you hurt your back, but your hip's always really stiff and sore and you're weak with something and unable to do a lot of all these other things, and maybe you don't have a ton of movement options, so it's like you can only use your back to lift something. So then when that gets hurt, you're completely out of commission. Whereas like, okay, you know what? Yeah, maybe your hips and knees are always a little bit hurt, but you can use your back around it because that's good more often than not. So you are able to mask those other things. But maybe that 3 months time is where you work on those other things as well. And then now you come back with even more movement options. And like you said, you're better than where you were before. And you're not at that baseline anymore. You're above it.
Yeah, exactly. So if you do want to get better, put the time and effort in. If you're happy with where you are and going in this repetitive cycle, then that's okay too. You can do that. You're more than welcome to do that if you're getting by and you're good with that. But what I tell people is don't complain about it if you're not actually taking the steps to improve your situation, right? If it's the same thing over and over and over again and you're not changing anything, then I don't have the same level of sympathy for somebody like that as I would for someone who's like really putting the time and effort to improving their situation, right?
Yeah. I'm going to cut you off real quick.
Yeah.
When I was back in Winnipeg last month, I did like a kind of podcast type talk with my dad.
Yeah.
And I've been editing it, and he said one line, and it was really good. He's like, sometimes you just have to admit what you're doing was wrong. And that goes right in line with this. Like, if you're just kind of in that cycle, sometimes you have to take a good critical look back at what you're doing. Be like, maybe I'm just not quite doing something right. Maybe I'm not doing everything I could be doing. I'm just doing something a little bit wrong, and I need to take some different steps. And that's really tough to admit and do and actually, have that critical mindset and then not only just acknowledge that, but then take the proper steps to improve it.
Yeah.
And it's tough, but
it's a lot
sometimes
to
that's
ask.
what you need to do.
It's a lot to ask of someone to just like take this thing that you've been used to and completely overhaul it, right? Which is where like you don't necessarily have to overhaul everything, but you do have to take those steps in the right direction. And you're right, like that's a really uncomfortable thing to be like, okay, I was wrong. Now I need to do something a little bit different. And I mean, if I was going to, I don't want to like pigeonhole us here, but like if I was to really just summarize, because I think you and I have a very similar philosophy when it comes to rehab and training, like everything out there is extremely overcomplicated. And I think that like I'm not against different types of therapies and stuff. I'm not against passive therapies by any means, because again, people do find some short-term relief and sometimes that's what people need in a moment, right? So it's really helpful for that. But completely overcomplicating everything and saying that there's a right way and a wrong way and that person's wrong and that person's right, and turning deadlift form into like a calculus problem from like a university exam, like I think that that's bad. And I think that the simple answer to most people's problems outside of specific medical conditions where you need to see a specialist is to simplify it, do a little bit less of the stuff that's bugging it, like in a sense of like stop just poking the bear, so dial that back for a little bit, do a little bit more to get yourself stronger. The classic like Greg Lehman, calm shit down, build shit up. Back up, yeah. Right? Like that's simply it. So if you do want to feel better and you want to get out of that cycle, there's really like 3 major areas that you can work on, and it's getting better sleep and recovery. It's getting a little bit more dialed in with your nutrition, like just reasonable choices and habits, and it's just moving more, regardless of how you're moving. And if you do those things in a bit more of a structured, appropriate manner for yourself, then I think the large majority of musculoskeletal issues get better.
Yeah.
Right?
They get a lot better. And it's just with those simple changes, then just a little bit of time with it. And then sticking to it. And one thing I want to kind of take a little tangent on too is when you were saying like a little bit better, like dialing in your nutrition a little bit, and then just kind of keeping up with exercise and like better sleep. All that also leads to is just better overall health, like better metabolic health.
Yep.
And more evidence is coming out showing that like a lot of musculoskeletal issues are worsened with worse metabolic health.
Yes.
Like I'm just going to go over tendinopathy, for example. Having poor metabolic health really increases your like risk of getting tendinopathy, and then also really slows down your recovery as well. And that's like not from a loading perspective, because we know, you can take someone who's able to, I'm just going to do calf raises, for example, for some reason, but able to do calf raises with 500 pounds. Then you take someone who weighs 300 pounds. Those calves, like the person who's like working them out often, are probably getting just as much or more work than like the person living at 300 pounds, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a load thing, but the metabolic and just like overall health of the person who is heavier is, I'm kind of like
you're trying to your words.
I'm trying to like walk around this, because
yeah.
like some things could be interpreted poorly and just saying like, oh, if you're heavier, you're unhealthy. But
I just generally
it's more
speaking,
just saying the less metabolically healthy you are, then that is impairing your ability to recover.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing. So all those small, simple changes that you also mentioned also go hand in hand with people improving their metabolic health. And that's probably also just playing a role. So taking that in mind and like acknowledging that and being like, hey, I'm in pain. And if I just improve these little things, it doesn't need to be a massive like total overhaul, but just being like, hey, I can change this one thing and just focus on getting a certain amount of steps per day and, dialing in my nutrition just a little bit. Those are going to make huge changes over time.
Yeah. And let me just point out to anybody listening who doesn't really understand the concept of metabolic health, not that this is the same thing, but the big buzzword catchword that everybody's always talking about on social media is like inflammation to some degree, right? Where they're talking about how, inflammation bad. Seed oils cause inflammation. That not to say that it's just inflammation, but your body is in a different state when you have worse metabolic health than when it's better, right? In terms of just flushing things out or just being able to deliver what your body needs to recoup. And so if you want to look at it from that aspect, if you're looking at it from the view that doctor on his podcast talked about inflammation and the foods that you should avoid that are super inflammatory, then like the longer but very simple fix of that is improve your sleep, generally eat better, move more, and all of that becomes better too, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So
I love all the people that are like, oh, demonizing seed oils, and then it's like, how much cardio do you do a week? How much walking up the stairs?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're focused on the wrong things.
I know, right? Exactly. I think that's a really good point. But I know like we've kind of taken a loop, which we always do. But
yeah, that's every conversation with me.
I know, it's true. But like we were kind of going in the direction of form and why like it's okay to have sucky form, right? And I wouldn't even call it sucky form. I would call it sucky experience or sucky understanding at this point. Yeah. Right? You're picking something up and putting it back down, or you're getting your body closer to the ground and then bringing it back up, right? And as long as you're not overdoing it, that could be with the weight that you're using, the total amount of work that you're putting in, or it could simply be just like a little cue that somebody gets, or a little change in technique or something that is like, actually, when I do it that way, my knee feels better, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not to say that like that's a bad thing, but like sometimes switching up someone's technique to fit their comfort level, that's when I think that kind of stuff is important. And because like some people might be like, oh, you're saying form's not important, so like if you're a coach or if you're a clinician, like what's your job then? Just to chat with somebody? And it's like, no, it's to problem solve and figure out how can we make this better for you to get to where you want to go.
It's about knowing the form that is appropriate in that moment for that person.
Yeah.
Right? Not like being like, okay, not trying to make someone fit a textbook example. If you look at a lot of the high performers, a lot of their movements don't fit textbook examples. So it's about understanding, okay, where's this person strong? Where's this person comfortable? What way are they going to do this movement that is best for them?
Yeah.
Sometimes that looks kind of textbook. Sometimes that doesn't. But one thing I want to make is when you're saying like, oh, with the knee example, changing the form, it's like, oh, that's better for my knee. Changing form is also a method of load management.
Yeah.
So like decreasing how much a certain area is working so that you can let it calm down and then build it up. And I think that's what often causes this idea of, oh, this form was bad. I was doing it wrong because I was hurt. And then I changed my form and it didn't hurt. Now I just always do it like this. It's like, can you go back and do it the other way? Like, did you actually build it up to be able to withstand that?
Right.
Maybe you need to get in that position all the time in your everyday life, but you're not working it. So you're actually losing capacity there potentially.
Yeah. And then the odds of you getting hurt when you go into that position really frequently or aggressively is a little bit higher, right?
It's kind of like there's someone who's a very prominent person in this space, and they have like a school designation in their name. I'm not gonna name names, and an exercise as well.
Is it bench press college? Is that
yeah,
what it is?
I think that's what it is. It's something like that.
Yeah.
Bench press college, or like overhead press.
Secondary
school. Yeah, something like that. I can't remember, but yeah, and it's kind of the similar with that. They're always coaching like a straight back and saying, oh, only certain people who have their spines touched by the hand of God can withstand heavy Jefferson curl, when that's not the case. It's changing the form to maybe have less of a rounded back, maybe also makes you use a little bit less weight because it's different form. Maybe it takes some weight off certain structures. That's all load management baked into that change that has been made. It's not that other form was bad and that this new form is good. Yeah. It's just that this new form allows the aggravated structures, whatever was kind of hurting, to calm down.
Yes.
In the meantime.
Yes, that's a big point, right? And when it comes to like deadlifting with a rounded back, which is usually the biggest, like, kind of that's bad form. That's the big talk. Like, that's what a lot of people are arguing or debating about. When you see somebody round their back on a deadlift, true or false, is that a more strong position or weaker position when you're rounding your back?
True.
It's
stronger to round your back, you're saying?
Yes. Yeah, exactly, right?
It's a more mechanically efficient movement because you're shortening. I'm going to use some words here and then you can kind of like do the explaining for me after. You're shortening the moment arm on your hip extensors, and you're also allowing your back muscles to probably be in a more efficient position for them to produce force.
Yeah.
So it's easier to move that weight.
Yes.
There is an upper limit to it, likely, depending on where your strengths are. If you have absolutely no butt and no glutes, like, yeah, maybe you do a lot more rounding because your hip extensors can't hold a position. Maybe you have really strong glutes, so you only use a little bit of rounding.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so pretty much in the laymanest of terms, the further the weight is away from a joint in question that you're moving, the harder the exercise. So when you're rounding your back, that's getting the weight a little bit closer to a joint that might be struggling, like the hips, right? And so a lot of people they're like, see, look, that guy rounded his back and then he got hurt. He wasn't rounding his back before and he wasn't getting hurt. But usually, and we can't say this for sure, but I mean, maybe it's a correlation. There's no data to really kind of show that. But guys deadlifting with a neutral spine, all of a sudden backgrounds, all of a sudden he hurts his back. you can't say that it's because he rounded his back, because there's also the likelihood that the weight was too heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So he rounded his back to try to lift it a little bit better, but it was still too heavy. And ultimately that load is what made some type of tissue get aggravated or fail.
Yeah. And that kind of brings me to a point where your body is smart. It's going to find positions where it's stronger to be able to move the weight. So when you're trying to hold that straight back, you're having some muscles that need to work a lot harder. So it is going to then change its form, round that back a little bit, get into a little bit more mechanically advantageous position for you to produce force and overcome that weight. If you have never lifted in that position before and never trained the muscles involved with that position, or like really built up the tolerance with any of the structures involved, then likely that's going to be a little bit above your capacity. As well as if that technique change is happening, then that's probably right around your capacity anyways, because your body is just trying to figure out how to move it. And anytime you push your body to its max with no matter what movement, could be even a single joint exercise like a leg extension, your chances of injury are going to be there because you're pushing it to its limits, and that's just something that you have to accept. But yeah, it's not the position that's bad, it's your readiness for the position that dictates, or at least strongly dictates, whether there's going to be some kind of injury or not.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if this is a good analogy, but it just popped in my mind. It's like, if I go and write a test and there's a short answer question, and I write a stupid answer, it's not that the answer was stupid, it's that I didn't prepare, therefore the answer was stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm losing myself here.
I think that kind of makes sense.
So it's kind of like the same thing.
We can refine it.
We can refine it, but it's like, it's not that your form was bad, it's that you weren't ready yet. Therefore, something happened that your body wasn't able to withstand.
Yeah, exactly. And then kind of adjacent to that is like the preparing for any kind of movement and the whole kind of general resilience or general physical preparedness too, like even just sports science terms,
For sure.
Just being ready for anything. So, like training those awkward positions allows you to have some more resilience in those positions in case you do end up in them when you're lifting. Will it prevent an injury outright? Maybe, maybe not. Could it potentially also lessen the degree or lessen the intensity of the injury if an injury does happen? Probably, if you're a little bit more prepared. So it's just about, getting yourself a little bit more resilient overall so that you can withstand a little bit more and kind of protect yourself in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best way to kind of summarize everything is just be better.
Yeah, get good.
Just put the work in, and eventually things will kind of work their way out and be refined, and put the work in like appropriately. And if you don't know how to do that, then get the guidance of someone who can.
Like me.
Like Kevin, right? Like someone who can guide you appropriately so that you're figuring out, okay, this doesn't feel good, let's do it this way instead. Or this is maybe a way that you could do this to make this feel more comfortable. Or this is going to be something that's going to hurt, but we're going to safely, at your level, work through this so that you could build up some resilience and some capacity to that. So if you have absolutely no idea what you're doing in those situations, then yeah, work with a professional, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got to do it. Either you can do it on your own or seek help wherever you can get help. That's ultimately it, if you're going to get good. While we're, like, this is still kind of in line with topic, but I actually have a blind ranking for you. Okay. So I've got a couple of things here, and we'll see where this all ends up. So from 1 to 5, I'm going to give you 5 options.
Okay.
You have to let me know which of these, what's the word, concepts in the rehab industry are either false or overrated. So number 1 is like, that is so overrated, don't worry about that, people. And number 5 is like, maybe take that with a grain of salt. Maybe there's a little something there, but so top of the list is going to be like, don't even ignore that concept. Okay.
Okay.
So Number one.
Wait. So like, number one is like
the worst of
awful.
The worst.
Okay.
Yeah. Like ignore that. That's
Yeah.
dumb sort of thing. And you got to strategically kind of pick where you're going to put these things, right? So first concept, more soreness. If you're more sore after workout, that means you worked harder and that's better.
I don't know what else is going to be there. I know this is really overrated.
This is the hard part.
Yeah. I'm going to put that at 2. There's, if you're sore somewhere, you can kind of say like, yeah, I worked that area. It's not indicative of working harder there. It's just indicative of, you haven't worked that area in that way very much.
Yeah.
So you're a little bit sore there.
Yeah. It can happen, but it doesn't need to happen to show that you've actually made progress or gotten better, I find, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes people are chasing that. All right. Injury rehab should really be around corrective exercises. Oh. So I guess the reading between the lines here, it's like, squatting and deadlifting and lunging and doing all of that stuff is not rehab.
Yeah. I kind of want to put that in 1, but I don't know what else is going to be. Now I'm already wishing I put the soreness at 3. I feel like you have something that's just going to be way worse. I'm going to put that at 3, but just know it's very overrated. Any exercise can be a rehab exercise. There's no such thing as corrective exercises. All exercise is just stimulus, and then it just depends on what stimulus you need for the outcome you need.
Yeah, everybody has a starting point. Everybody has something that can or might not be enough to help them. So find your spot. Okay. You're too old to get better. So like the classic person sitting in the chair saying, "Oh,
I hate this list.
My hip is messed up. I'm just going to be this way for the rest of my life."
1.
Wait, didn't you already put the? Oh, you put the other one at 3. You put that at 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's at 1. You can get better at any age.
Yeah.
There's what study is it by? Booth? It's like a giant exercise study that went over like a year in like 2012 or something. But anyways, there's participants up to 93 years old and they all got stronger. Everyone got stronger by exercising, and the groups that did more got more stronger.
Yeah.
So you can always get better at any age. I've had people in their mid-80s come to me unable to pick anything off the ground, and I've gotten them deadlifting almost 100 pounds.
Yeah.
So like at any age you can get stronger, you can get better. It's never too late to start. It's never too late to improve.
What's funny is like I've worked with such a wide variety of people, and like no offense to any of the younger people that are getting more impressive numbers on their deadlifts and stuff that I've worked with, but nothing ever makes me happier than having like a 78-year-old woman break 3 digits in a deadlift or something like that, right? I'm just like, let's go. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's so empowering too. Right? Like they just feel they can do so much more, and they just proved like how strong they are. And just a lot of the times with the patients that I've had that have gotten stronger, it's just been like a whole, I know I'm going off on a tangent here and just kind of hijacking your blind rankings, but it's been like a whole like personality change. Even like it bleeds into the rest of their life. They're like, I'm so much more confident. I can do so much more. Yeah. And they just feel better about themselves overall. Like it's truly magical. Deadlifting a lot of weight is truly magical. It is. And a lot of weight is relative to the individual.
Yes, exactly. That's the important part there. Mm-hmm. Okay, we got 2 more things, and you only have spot 4 and 5, so choose wisely.
This list for me, I feel like it's basically just 1.1 to 1.5.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, next one. Lifting with a rounded back always causes injury.
I guess I got to put that in 4.
Okay.
Like, that was the whole podcast was that it doesn't.
These blind rankings are hard.
That's the thing. It's making me uneasy inside.
I'm sorry, this next one's gonna piss you off too. So the final one is you need to fix imbalances before you can do exercise.
I'm gonna come over there and slap you in the face. 5, I guess, but yeah, imbalances Balances don't mean shit.
Yeah. It's true. Honestly, everybody has them. We're asymmetrical. Like
Yeah.
human beings are asymmetrical. We have got dominant sides. We've got things that we use our right arm more than our left. And so, sometimes my one shoulder is going to be higher than the other or vice versa. One leg might be stronger than the other. Maybe I feel it more on one side than the other. That doesn't mean that things aren't working.
Mm-hmm.
That's just normal.
That's just normal how your body moves. Not every side is, like you said, it's going to be the exact same, asymmetrical. And then movement in general and what you have to do as a daily task. Life is just built around that too. You can't do everything completely symmetrical. And look at sports. Sports are extremely asymmetric. Like if you try to be completely perfectly balanced, you're just hindering yourself in sport, because you need some positions, some muscles, some movements that are going to be stronger than others. And like the balance comes from like, okay, you know what? This is stronger on one side, so that means something else is stronger on the other side, basically, because that's the complementary part of the movement is a lot of the times how it kind of happens. Just to make myself feel better, though, I will say that if there is some completely extreme imbalances and your sport is something like powerlifting, where, there's a lot more bilateral movement, then that could be seen as a point where you could improve.
Yeah.
It's still not like the worst, but it's like, and I'm talking like extreme
Yeah.
imbalances, because you're just going to be dumping into one side and you just have more exponential spikes in loading.
Yes.
I'm totally blocking my face from the camera when I do that, but whatever. You have more exponential spikes in loading if one side can't put up with it.
Right. And that's a very different concept than somebody potentially saying, well, when I do this glute bridge, I only feel it in my left hamstring. So my right hamstring must be weak. Therefore, I will not deadlift.
Yeah.
Because my hamstrings aren't like, that's very different, right?
Very, very different.
Then, okay, maybe maybe I tore my hamstring and it's, only working at 70% of the other side, and I'm about to go lift 500 pounds. That's a different ball game, right? So all of this stuff always has like nuance, and there's got to be some context there. But I agree with you too. It's just like you don't limit yourself to moving just because you think you might have a certain imbalance, because they're way more normal than people think.
Yeah,
right?
Extremely normal.
Yeah. You said you had a quick little segment. Do we have time for that today?
Yeah, let me double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it'll be quick. Just asking you a fun question.
Okay.
So, out of all of the pumps that you can get, muscular-wise, in the gym, what are your top 3 favorite pumps?
Are we gonna like take turns, or you just want to ask me what my top 3 are?
You do your top 3,
Okay.
and then I can do my top 3.
Okay. I've got my 3, and I've got an honorable mention.
Okay.
Do I start with the honorable mention, or do I end with it?
Let's start with the honorable mention.
Okay. So I was telling you this earlier, but when I was in university and I did a Wingate test, that was the first time in my life that I ever felt a glute pump. And it's the weirdest feeling. Like, couldn't walk, legs felt numb. It was wild. But I wouldn't say that was like my favorite feeling in the world, but it's just like, it was very weird. Okay. Next. This is the hard part. I can tell you that biceps are not on this list. I don't care about a biceps pump. I'll put triceps are either 3 or 2. Okay. I love a good tricep pump. Like when you're just like if you can somehow manage a way to superset like some type of chest press or a shoulder press or like tricep dips or something like that, like all of them, and you're just feeling like that burn and it feels thick. I like that.
Oh yeah,
I love
a thick tricep pump.
Yeah, I love a good tricep pump. Shoulders, like delts, really like a good feeling of like when they just feel like absolutely like rock solid.
Yeah.
And you can like
They're
almost
gonna
see,
burst out your skin.
Yeah, when you can actually see like a little bit more like that.
Yeah.
Like, yo, nice shoulders. If you're looking at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
So, which is funny because I'm a big leg guy, right?
Yeah.
Like that. So triceps and shoulders, which is like why I've actually become a little bit more like a fan of like upper body push days now. I used to hate it.
Yeah.
But no,
is this just you coping and trying to convince yourself so that you do more upper body,
Maybe.
or do you actually like them?
I actually do like that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very aware that I'm not good at benching and like overhead presses and things like that, but I've been working on them more and I've been getting better at them, and now I'm actually liking it. Now I'm actually, it's not
You embraced the suck.
yeah, squat days are now my least favorite.
Yeah.
Which I just did like yesterday, but it's fine. But the absolute best pump for me, quads. And I don't know if you can relate with this as like a fellow biker, like just like a great bike ride, like going up a huge hill and just feeling your quads like balloon out and having that. That's my absolute favorite.
I love like after a quad pump and it just feels like they're just hanging off you and like, oh, it's great. It's great. I love a good quad pump.
Yeah. That's my absolute favorite. Yeah. As long as I can keep walking with the quad pump, right? Yeah, not collapsing to the ground or anything. But what would you say yours are?
Mine, number 3. Okay, wait. So quad pump was your number 1?
Yes.
Then triceps number 2 and delts number 3?
Yeah, you can interchange those two.
Okay. For me, my number 3, this is a tough one. I kind of love a good forearm pump.
Yeah.
Like it just like to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? I can't do anything with my hands. Yeah. Like I'm just like Ricky Bobby and it's like I don't know what to do with my hands like after a good forearm pump. But there is just something about a juicy tricep pump too. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So I'm going to go tricep as my honorable mention. Okay. Forearms as my number 3. Cuz that's just you get a good circuit in there. It's great. It's great. You're rendered useless for a little bit, but it's great. Number 2, the quads. Like you said, like I said too, you know, just 2 big slabs of meat hanging off your legs after a giant quad pump feels great. Number 1 for me is a good thick erector pump. Nothing like a back pump.
Oh, yes,
nothing like a back pump.
You're right.
Some people hate it.
I forgot that.
Yeah. Like when people are like, oh, I feel my back is all pumped and it's all tight, and they just like hate and associate with pain. I'm like, yeah, I work that area. Yeah. When your back is so pumped and you can't even extend because there's just too much meat stopping you from extending, that is my favorite thing. Like I'll be in my basement just ripping zerchers until my back is like about to explode. I'm like, this is the best feeling in the world. Like I get, you know how people get like a runner's high? I think I get like a
back pump high.
A back pump high. Yeah.
No, I completely forgot about that because if you remember like the very first time you basically walked me through going through zerchers, I was like, oh, I feel that in my back, and like I really like that. Yeah. Like, that feels good. Yeah. You know, that fatigue, that like working really hard. The thing that like leading up to that point, outside of doing like back extensions or like GHDs or something like that, like I never really felt that just based off of the exercises I was doing. Yeah. You're right. That is a good feeling.
That is my number 1 pump.
That like a lot of people associate that feeling with danger.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right? Like like that one person can think of it as like, this is the best, and somebody else is like, I need to stop. Right? So
it is the best. Like there's something about it where you have to waddle after because your torso just doesn't move. So it's like you kind of got to waddle, and it just it's just satisfying, you know? Nothing like a good old erector pump.
That's it. Nothing like ending a podcast with a good old back pump.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that for this week's episode. And as always, like, follow, subscribe. Kevin, any final words of wisdom to the fine people?
Just, like I said to you, embrace the suck. You know, just keep working at it. If there's something that you're doing right now that sucks, just understand that that is an integral part of the process and to stick with it.
I like it.
That's my little motivational spiel at the end.
That's it.
Thanks for watching.